Okay, I'm so glad to be here. This is actually, I've been looking forward to this since Tara and I talked about it. The title is The Stories We Shape, and I kind of get there in the speech, but I had to give Tara the title and the synopsis before I'd written it, so we're just go on the journey with me. So, I love to bake my girls. I have 3 girls, a 7, 5, and 3-year-old. I love to bake them birthday cakes. It's kind of, I don't know. I mean, Costco cake tastes better, and that's fine, but I just love getting to make them something that they will enjoy. Well, this last summer, my daughter Shiloh, who turned 5, wanted a Vampirina cake. Does anyone else know Vampirina? She's a ghoulish girl living in a human world, and it does not get better than that, okay? Anyway, she wanted a Vampirina cake, and the cake I'd made the year before turned out really well, and so I was like, I'm gonna up my game. So I got on Pinterest, I'm like looking at stuff, you know. So the year before I'd mastered smooth frosting, and the key to that is putting it in the fridge between frosting layers so that you can really get it on smooth. But then all these drip cakes were the rage, and so I thought, I'm gonna make a drip cake, okay? I can do it, I know I can, it's gonna be great. So I get my candy melts and I melt them in the microwave, and I burn the first batch, so then I had to go back to the store and get another batch, and this is always on the birthday party day, because that's how I roll. My husband hates it, but whatever. Got my next batch of candy melts, because I'm just determined to make this cake, and I'm dripping it along the sides, and as soon as I drip it on the cake, it just seizes up. Like, it does not, there's no dripping, okay? And I get about halfway through the cake, and I got a little frustrated, and I called my best friend, who actually is a pastry chef, and I'm like, hey, I'm making this cake, and she's like, yeah, I'm coming to the party in 30 minutes. I'm like, please stop, don't rub it in. I know, it's in 30 minutes, okay? Let's just make the cake. And she talks me through it and asks me some questions, and she said, your cake is cold. And I said, yeah, my cake's cold. And I'm like, oh yeah, so the hot candy just freezes and it's not gonna drip anymore. Okay. So she talked me through like how to fake it, okay? And then the top of it, you can see, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. My 5-year-old loved it, but it's not what I pictured from Pinterest, okay? But the top of it looked really gross. I mean, just was all globby, and she said, get some frosting, put it in a piping bag, pipe the frosting on. So I start doing that, and I originally chose a piping tip that was bigger than this, and so I'm piping the frosting on. Does anyone want to guess what it looked like? It looked like poop emojis on my birthday cake, okay? So I then am laughing because, I mean, come on, it's funny at this point. And I wipe that off, I get a smaller tip, and in the end it looks fine. And I tell you the story for 2 reasons. One, because I'm a nurse by trade, and so poop always comes up in every talk I give, and I like to intentionally introduce it in my own random instead of a story I just think of, and then it slips out and it's weird. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, if you'd only seen the picture, you would have thought, oh, that cake is great, when really, it was a train wreck from start to finish, and I had to have expert help to finish it, truly. So I feel like this is kind of indicative of motherhood. So this is kind of what I thought motherhood would look like. My kids are kind of pulled together. I'm wearing clean clothes. My hair is brushed. I mean, this is kind of what I imagined. And truthfully, I did not account for 2 things. I did not account for my own sin nature, and I did not account for the sin nature of the small humans that I have. So this is more accurate of what motherhood has looked like for me. This is a very funny teenager that dressed up as a tired mom for Halloween. You can see that she has a baby and a Starbucks and a Target bag and a bottle of wine poking out of the Target bag, because that's essential. She has a toddler on her legs, mascara on her eyes. I mean, this is my life right here. This is my life. And the world would have me feel bad about that. The world would tell me that in those places where it's different than the picture I thought it would be, that I should feel shame, that I should feel guilt in that I should feel failure. So this is my daughter Emmaus. She is 7, and obviously she's gorgeous. But I was raised to be a very capable person. My parents, two of their core values that they instilled in us were capability and responsibility, which are great things to instill in your children, and I aim to instill in mine as well. But I took that with me, and I left God out of that, because I am capable, and I can do things on my own. Well, then I had this child. So Emmaus was born with a rare genetic disease. Hers was randomly occurring, meaning we didn't pass it on to her. And it's called tuberous sclerosis complex. So she has tumors that grow in her eyes, in her brain, in her heart, in her kidneys. Eventually oh wow, the air went down, that's great. Eventually it'll grow in her lungs. She's most affected by the tumors that grow in her brain. She has epilepsy, autism, a global delay, is emerging verbal. We are impressed every day with the number of words that come out of her mouth, and that's really exciting for us. But I found myself in a place in motherhood, which is not any different than a mom of a typical child either, of realizing I'm actually not capable of parenting this child. And there's no amount of owning the decision I made to become a parent or being responsible enough for the decisions I made to be a good parent to this child. And that is where the guilt and the shame and what the world says, like, hey, you're capable, like this picture perfect is out there, and it's not, but it's out there and you're not it. And so that is something that the world tells us. The good news is there's the word. And the word tells us this. This is from 2 Corinthians 12. Therefore, in order to keep me from becoming conceited, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan, to torment me. 3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me, but he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weakness, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardship, in persecution, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then he is strong. That is such good news to me. I don't know if it's as good of news to you guys, but that is good news to me. Because Christ will cover the gap. And it gives us permission to mother in our weakness. So in our weakness of mothering, whether it is, I'll just use myself. I won't make up things for you guys. I have a really short temper. That is just true about me. I'm very curt in how I speak. And I'm raising 3 little girls, and that does not go over well with them. And it's not okay. But it's okay that I am weak in those things. And it's my job to stand in that weakness and say, I will never be enough here. And to say to my children, this is where mommy has failed, and this is where we have a good God that meets our needs. Charles Spurgeon says, I have a great need for my Christ, and I have a great Christ for my need. And that is the utmost truth. So we get the chance as mothers to throw off the shame, to throw off the guilt, and to stand in the weakness and allow and invite Christ to cover the gaps. We also get to do that in community. So, community in our weakness, what does that look like? It looks like us taking the time and telling our friends the truth. It looks like saying to our friend that feels shame about something that is not shameful. It looks like us taking the time and saying to them, no, that's not it. It's okay that you did that. Because I don't know about you guys, but I sure some days, I am at lower school, so I drop off every day, look at the car in front of me and who's getting out, and I'm like, I bet their car doesn't look like mine. I bet they don't have 1 million goldfish smashed everywhere. Their kid's not crying or doesn't look like they've cried yet today. And the truth is that's not true. That is the finished cake picture that I am seeing. And the truth is that there is so much underneath that we miss. And we have to preach the truth to ourselves. We have to speak that truth to ourselves because we have this responsibility in community to share it with each other. We have to take the time to assume well about each other and to ask and inquire about what's going on, and then stop our friends in their tracks when we hear the thing that's off. Because it's really easy to just brush over it. I was at a kindergarten field trip to Legoland the other day, and another mom whose daughter was in the other class, I'd met her a couple times, I asked her about how their school year had gone, and she said, it has gone really well. Like, we have been so happy, it's just been a great year. And she actually has 2 more kids entering kindergarten next year. And I was like, woo, that's pricey, you know? I mean, literally, that's what I'm thinking. And what I said, too, because usually they come together, to be honest. And she was like, yeah, it's a big jump. And I was like, uh-huh. And then she said, but I need this. Like, I need this. And I was able to say, yeah, because you're surviving at home. She's like, yeah, I'm just surviving at home. And I was like, and there is no shame in that, because that woman has 4 children, and the oldest is in kindergarten. Shiloh learned about Easter this year. I got to witness my kindergartner going through these resurrection eggs, which I wish that I had looked on Pinterest for that. But I didn't, because I was surviving. And so every Easter, we might have read the Jesus Storybook Bible. We might have read, you know, the death and the resurrection, and that was maybe it, and that might be stretching it. And that's okay, because we have other people, other women, other leaders, teachers to come alongside us and help us with that. And it was so cool to get to watch my kindergartner teach her 7-year-old sister and her 3-year-old sister, like, the resurrection story. I mean, it ministered to me. And that is why we need this community. And we need moms like that mom at the field trip that really say, no, I need this. Like, that honest picture of what this is, because this is hard no matter what stage you're in. I know a lot of you, like Tara was saying, are not in the elementary stage anymore, and most of my stories are. But I have no doubt that it transcends in a different way. I have no doubt when my kids are high schoolers, I still will have the same sin nature and will still be saying, look at this. Isn't this why we have a Savior? Because we need to be covered. So here's where the Stories We Shape part comes in. Told you we'd get there. So these are the stories that I get to shape. I get to shape the lives of these little girls. I get to show them that there is no shame in not being perfect. And then I get to shape the lives of my friend groups by pouring into them. So these are actually, I pulled this picture specifically because these, you might recognize some faces here. These are the girls that I graduated from high school with. And I am lucky enough to have a close relationship with them still. And daily, there's conversation between us of, no, that's normal. No, that's like, oh, maybe we could change how that's done. You know, I mean, we have to have that community and support each other. Because when we embrace our weakness, when we stand in it, it gives us power to change the story, to change the trajectory, to change the friendships our kids have by modeling what community looks like to them. So here's my challenge for you. Where in your life do you feel shame or anxiety? Where are those places where you feel like, this is not good, I'm failing here? And I want to invite you guys to stand in that and say, okay, this is where the Lord needs to cover. This is where my weakness in this place, God's strength will cover. And then I want to ask, where can you share this in community? Where can you find another woman to come alongside and to encourage and to speak truth into her life? Because we all need that. We all need light shined in the dark places, in the dark corners, in the shame. Because the shame and the feeling of failure, it just doesn't continue when someone else opens the door and lets light in on it. So my oldest, or my middle, who's here, is a kindergartner. And so I'm kind of new. So please come introduce yourself. Please come say hi. I'm really bad with names. I will have to ask you again next time I meet you. It's okay? We have lots of years together to learn. So anyway, thank you for having me. It was a joy to be with you guys, and I just love this community here.